We left Kiama early and headed south for a surf at Gerringong Beach. After some beach time, we did a little bit of the Gerringong to Kiama coastal walk, a 20-kilometre trail that takes you along the beautiful coastline. A short 45-minute drive took us to our next stop at Husskisson. With bad weather closing in over the next few days, we wasted no time and launched the boat as soon as we arrived, hoping to catch the last of the light winds and sunny conditions. The motor through the river to the bay was beautiful, and our hopes were high, but once at the mouth we realised pretty quickly that the wind had beaten us to Jervis Bay. With the tide racing out and a shallow entry back into the river, we decided to turn back. Unfortunately, we would have to leave the bay for another trip. The next morning, we got up early and drove to the beautiful Hyams Beach for the day, famous for its pristine white sand and crystal clear blue water.
We were just sitting, like, doing some work, and some guys that were doing work near us said, "Oh guys, there's a big storm coming, you might want to pack up." And we were like, what? So we packed up, and now it's hailing. This is not forecast at all. Famous Hyams Beach down there.
Lucky we're not out there in the tinny.
Yeah, terrible day to be in the tinny. That's where we were set up. Just looking for somewhere protected.
Luckily, we didn't sustain any damage and the storm passed quickly. By the time we arrived at our next camp, Green Patch in Broulee National Park, the sun was back out and it was once again a beautiful day.
We want to get there, but there's a river here, so we're stuck. Should we just walk across? I guess we could do that.
She's braver than us.
It looks cold. I'm wearing jeans.
Been defeated by the creek.
I need my Crocs on. I need my full drive Crocs for this. I'll meet you there. But also, to be fair, I have a cut on the bottom of my foot at the moment, so I don't really want to risk it too much because it gets infected. warm drink to warm the morale. This is how cold it is. I'm honestly considering getting out my thermals. The camp fashion.
It does feel freezing. Feels like less than 10 degrees.
Anyway, hot drink. I'm having a hot chockey for morale. Liam's having a mocha.
Only because I couldn't decide whether I wanted a hot chocolate or a coffee, so I just put both in.
Bonus is we're charging the battery. It was down to about 50% because we had a big day yesterday using the...
I've had like 3 days with no solar.
No solar
And no power.
It was a work day yesterday, so we were charging laptops. We tried to give Dishy a go, so drawing a lot of power. So just running the motor and getting it back up.
Having been sceptical of the capacity of the car's charging system since installing the DC to DC charger into the back of the camper, I decided not to connect the camper to the car's alternator. Up until now we had been able to rely on solar, but after several days without consistent sun and only a 200 watt panel, we were forced to charge from the car's alternator. Later, we would discover that, as suspected, this was not a good idea.
The weather was changing hourly, and in between the squalls we explored the area and checked out some of the amazing beaches. Liam chased a school of salmon up and down the beach, giving him a good workout but no fish, much to his avail, and I relaxed, read my book, and even went for a dip in the crystal clear water. The best days are usually the ones that are unplanned, and that was definitely the case with Bendalong. We nearly bypassed the turnoff but decided to head in at the last minute and it blew us away. Swimming with the local rays was definitely a highlight of our trip so far for me. They were super friendly and curious, swimming right up and looking for fish, and felt like silk as they glided over your feet. We reluctantly left Bendalong late in the afternoon and headed to Milton Showgrounds for the night. After a coffee and a quick check over of the car, we hit the road to Pretty Beach, a beautiful national park camp surrounded by wildlife, just north of Batemans Bay. Next stop, Broulee Beach.
Finally got a surfboard for $50 off Marketplace. Bright Barbie pink.
We checked into a caravan park in Batemans Bay to do some housework and complete a few jobs, including fixing the fuel issue we had encountered in the Central Highlands.
Bad fuel had blocked one of our fuel filters, and in turn this had burnt out a low pressure fuel pump, causing the fuel pressure to drop and the engine to misfire. Fortunately, we essentially run separate fuel systems for each of the fuel tanks, and we had only filled the sub-tank with the contaminated fuel, so we were able to continue until this point running on just the main tank.
The next morning we went for a quick run in the boat before continuing south along the coast. Driving into Bermagui, we noticed a strange noise coming from the front of the engine, which turned out to be the alternator. We detoured into Bega Repco to collect some spare parts and headed back to camp.
The new alternator versus the old one.
Yeah, it's got the fan on the front, but it all looks the same. I think that one's original. 30 years old, probably due for an upgrade. Look away, this is a hard bit.
Started filming at the wrong time. Nice and shiny and new.
Yeah. How good has it been just there? Right, top front of the motor.
Very handy. Do you want to show us the old one?
30 years old. Made in Australia. The new one's made in China, but same brand.
Just squeaky.
Yeah. It's probably still fine. But the parts to fix it were going to be comparable to just a brand new one, so.
Bit of a shame, really.
Nice
and fresh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that sound.
Yeah, I was certainly not gonna last the whole trip around Australia, so.
Get it done now instead of on the side of the road somewhere.
Now the hoarder in me wants to keep this as a spare.
How heavy is that?
It's like 6 kilo. Well, I'll keep it until that one is in there for a month or so, because I have a suspicion that our charger is too big for our alternator. Shortly after filming, I ran some checks with the multimeter and discovered that in fact the car's voltage was dropping significantly under the load of the 40 amp DC to DC charger we have in the back for the lithium batteries. A combination of the alternator, crank battery, and the wiring between the alternator and battery all being too small was likely the issue. For now, we decided to once again unplug the car from the charger in the back and run purely on solar and 240 volt charge inputs until we can work out a better solution for the car's charging system.
We stopped by the historical Davidson whaling station on the way to Saltwater Creek. Built in 1896, the station operated until 1932 and was famous for the pot of killer whales who assisted the whalers in herding baleen whales to shore. This friendship began with the local Yuin people, who revered orcas as reincarnated spirits of their ancestors.
How's the serenity here?
Got a helicopter dumping rocks out on the point. No, it's alright, as long as they're not doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, shouldn't be on the weekend.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
Next time, we cross our second state border of the trip, have some of our best days out on the water yet, catch a few fish for dinner, and stay at probably the best campsite in Australia for boating. So make sure to subscribe to follow along with the rest of our trip around Australia.